It all started when Emma and Jake, a young couple who had recently purchased their first home, moved into the quiet suburban neighborhood of Willow Creek. Excited about the fresh start, they were eager to make their house feel like a home. They spent weekends painting the walls, planting flowers in the front yard, and setting up a charming little porch with fairy lights. Everything seemed perfect, until they met Mrs. Sharon Perkins, a member of the neighborhood's homeowners association, HOA, who quickly earned the title of HOA Karen by residents. Sharon had a reputation for being overbearing and strict about the neighborhood's rules, often showing up unannounced to inspect properties. One afternoon, after Emma had spent hours decorating the front yard with colorful lights for the upcoming holiday season, Sharon appeared on their doorstep, her face stern and her arms crossed. "Those lights are far too bright, Emma," she said sharply. "They don't fit the aesthetic of the neighborhood. I'll be filing a complaint with the HOA. If you don't remove them, you'll face fines." Emma, taken aback, tried to explain that the lights were meant to bring joy and warmth to their new home. She even pointed out how the lights were neatly arranged and not disruptive to anyone else, but Sharon was unyielding, her tone cold and dismissive. The young couple knew they couldn't back down. They were determined to stand their ground, but they also didn't want to create a bitter feud with their neighbors. It seemed like there was no winning in this situation, and the thought of paying fines for something so trivial was frustrating. Still, Emma and Jake were both resourceful and knew they needed a solution that would not only allow them to keep the lights, but also teach Sharon a lesson in how to respect others. They put their heads together, brainstorming ways to handle the situation creatively. It wasn't just about the lights. It was about standing up for what they believed in while maintaining a sense of community. They knew they had to do something unexpected, something that would make their point in a way that no one could ignore. After some thought, Emma and Jake came up with a plan that would turn Sharon's rigid HOA rules against her. They knew that if they could outsmart her in a clever and harmless way, it would not only let them keep their lights, but also showcase their creativity. Emma had a background in graphic design, and Jake was a marketing whiz. So they combined their talents and decided to create a viral sensation that would make Sharon's actions look ridiculous. Their idea was to put up a display that not only included the bright festive lights, but also included signs that featured humorous, over-the-top statements mocking Sharon's attempt to control their lives. They planned to create signs that read, "Neighborhood lights for the holiday spirit," "Vibrancy over compliance," and "Unleashing joy, one bulb at a time." They even added a sign with a playful disclaimer: "No Karen-approved lighting was harmed in the making of this display." Emma and Jake knew that their approach had to be bold yet respectful. They spent the next few days working late into the evening, setting up the display in their front yard, while also ensuring that it would not violate any of the HOA's written rules. They strategically placed the signs so that they were visible from the road, and each one was carefully designed with vibrant colors and fonts that caught the eye. As they finished setting up, they stood back and admired their work. It was the perfect balance between pushing back and keeping the atmosphere lighthearted and fun. It was a peaceful rebellion, the kind that everyone in the neighborhood could appreciate, except, of course, for Sharon. The display didn't just stop at lights and signs. Emma had another idea to make it even more impactful. She created a social media page dedicated to the Willow Creek Light Show and began posting pictures and videos of their display. They also used the hashtag #LightsNotKaren, encouraging other neighbors to share their own holiday decorations. The posts quickly gained traction, and soon enough, the couple's display was being shared on local community pages. Within days, the story of their creative stand against Sharon's overreach went viral, with people from outside the neighborhood commenting and supporting their clever response. Some even suggested that the lights be turned into a full-on light show, complete with music. Emma and Jake couldn't believe the positive attention their display was receiving. They had succeeded in creating a viral sensation that not only allowed them to keep their lights, but also rallied the community around them. As the weeks went by, Emma and Jake's viral light display became the talk of the town. The photos and videos of their creative rebellion spread across social media, and soon, the news outlets picked up on the story. Reporters arrived at Willow Creek to cover the viral sensation, and Emma and Jake were interviewed on local TV. They spoke with enthusiasm about how their decision to challenge Sharon's unreasonable demands was more about spreading positivity and light than simply defying authority. Their message was clear. Holiday decorations should bring joy, not stress. And no one should have to conform to rigid rules that stifle creativity. In the interviews, they made it known that they weren't trying to disrespect the HOA rules, but simply wanted to show that their home, like everyone else's, deserved to reflect their personalities and happiness. Sharon, on the other hand, was furious. Her quiet attempt to control the neighborhood had backfired in a way she could never have imagined. The more the display gained attention, the more isolated she felt. Neighbors who had once supported her began questioning her harsh stance. One by one, people who had always quietly followed the rules started reaching out to Emma and Jake, offering their support and even adding their own creative touches to their decorations. Some of the neighbors who had kept their heads down for years came forward and admitted they felt uncomfortable with Sharon's strictness, but didn't know how to challenge it. The ripple effect of Emma and Jake's bravery had created a wave of support that was hard to ignore. At the next HOA meeting, Sharon tried to rally the board to take action against the couple. She proposed that they force Emma and Jake to remove their lights and signs, claiming that they were undermining the neighborhood's integrity. However, the board members weren't as eager to back her up. The evidence of the community's response was overwhelming. A petition had circulated online, urging the HOA to embrace more festive freedom. The petition had gained thousands of signatures, and many members of the HOA, who had initially been reluctant to speak up, suddenly found themselves agreeing with the public sentiment. The decision to allow Emma and Jake to keep their display was made by a large majority vote, much to Sharon's dismay. The couple's creative solution had turned the tide, and instead of facing penalties, they had become heroes in the eyes of their fellow neighbors. As time passed, Emma and Jake's holiday display became much more than just an annual tradition for them. It became the centerpiece of Willow Creek. The couple's front yard, once simple and plain, now glowed brightly every December with intricate lights, creative themes, and whimsical decorations that wowed anyone who passed by. What started as a small rebellion against the HOA had blossomed into a community event that everyone looked forward to. More neighbors began joining in, adding their own decorations, and for the first time in years, there was a genuine sense of excitement about the holiday season. People who had never spoken before began exchanging ideas about lighting and design, making it feel more like a collaborative effort than individual displays. Emma and Jake's actions had sparked a new spirit in Willow Creek, one of openness and creativity, where the strict norms of the past no longer held as much weight. Over time, even the toughest critics softened. Sharon, who had been the most vocal in her opposition to the holiday displays, found herself unexpectedly moved by the changes in the neighborhood. She saw how people from different walks of life, who had once kept to themselves, now came together to participate in the festive season. The once unyielding HOA Karen slowly began to realize that perhaps the beauty of the holidays was not in conforming to rigid rules, but in letting go of the need to control every detail of others' lives. One day, Sharon surprised everyone by putting up her own modest display. Nothing extravagant, but it was a sign that she had come to understand the joy that a little creativity and freedom could bring. Emma and Jake had unwittingly opened her heart to a new perspective, one that embraced inclusivity rather than exclusion. The transformation didn't just stop with Sharon. As more families in the neighborhood became involved, a ripple effect was created. Children who once stayed indoors now ran outside to play in the glow of colorful lights, and families who had always kept to themselves started gathering in front yards, admiring the displays and exchanging smiles. Willow Creek, a town once known for its dull uniformity, had become a vibrant, lively community that drew visitors from neighboring towns just to see the remarkable holiday decorations. Emma and Jake had turned a simple desire to spread some cheer into a revolution of creativity that had revitalized the entire neighborhood. People who had never interacted before now stopped to chat, share holiday recipes, and talk about the magic of the season. Despite their initial struggles, Emma and Jake realized that they had achieved more than they had ever expected. What had started as a battle with an overbearing HOA had become a turning point for their community, one that fostered inclusivity, creativity, and a stronger sense of togetherness. They had been determined to make a stand for their right to express themselves, but in doing so, they had sparked something far more important, a movement that reminded Willow Creek's residents of the power of joy, imagination, and a little bit of rebellion. It wasn't just about the decorations anymore. It was about the spirit of community, about embracing individuality, and about standing up for what you believe in, even when it feels like the odds are stacked against you. In the end, Emma and Jake's clever solution not only outsmarted the aggressive HOA Karen, but also united their neighborhood, turning a potential conflict into a heartwarming tradition of creativity and community. They proved that standing up for what you believe in, even when faced with resistance, can lead to unexpected positive change. Their story is a reminder that sometimes thinking outside the box and staying true to your values can inspire those around you to do the same. For viewers, let this story be an inspiration to face challenges head-on, challenge the norms when needed, and remember that even the smallest act of rebellion can lead to something beautiful and unifying.